Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Chaos Head. In the last episode, Takumi decided to check the voicemail sent by the unknown recipient on his cell phone, only for it to play the crosswalk melody before blaring into a loud siren noise, which was very loud. Of course, we have absolutely no idea of who exactly sent that peculiar voice message. Not that it was a voice message, because nobody actually spoke when it was being played. But meanwhile, Ban and Sua have been digging into Takumi's past by going to his elementary school and digging up a few more details concerning the tragic accident which injured his classmates and also ended in the death of his one of his personal teachers. However, at this point in time, Takumi is safe and sound back in his base, at least for the moment, interacting with Grim. We usually didn't chat about anything important, except of course that Grim is going to start talking about nothing but new gen. We'd exchange information about interesting threads on that channel, go on and on about Aero stuff, recommend new comics to each other, or discuss the previous day's anime. Casual stuff like that. Surprisingly, we didn't talk about Ensu very much, because after we talked it to death afterwards. Sorry, I keep screwing up that sentence. Because we talked it to death afterwards while we played Ensu. Seems like Grim doesn't know about the phone message. Not exactly, Grim. And of course, Grim tapping into Takumi's anxiety yet again. As usual, Grim had to go and use those words. He'd made my mood go sour in an instant. Plus his Japanese was strange. Were those words so fascinating that they merited being shoehorned in, even when they didn't fit? At least, they didn't fascinate me one bit. Far from it. They made me go cold. Especially considering the fact that until recently, you were the only one who ever used that phrase. But no point in fighting him about it, not before I finished asking about the prank. I simply had to put up with him. For the moment. Not surprising that Grim would know about the song. Now giving the details, obviously. The mysterious buzzer-like noise that had been recorded in my voicemail yesterday. I didn't know whose handiwork it was, and something about it concerned me. So I had to go at asking if Grim had heard it. If it were purely a crank call, all I'd have to do from here on out was ignore it. Huh. Grim wasn't reacting. I wondered why. Maybe he's stepped away from the computer. Maybe he's grabbing a sandwich. He's still logged in. Still no reaction. It was rare for Grim to fall asleep like this. In fact, it hadn't happened once in the past. But if he were asleep, there was no helping it. We'd meet later in Ensu anyway, and I could raise the subject with again then. The moment I thought that and started to rise from my seat. Oh, so that's what it had been. But in other words, it meant that even the super knowledgeable Grim hadn't known about this prank. There's probably a good reason for that. That suggested the prankster had done it, because they harbored some kind of personal grudge against me. It's a interesting theory, but unfortunately it remains in theory for the time being. The identity of the caller concerned me after all, but I wasn't gutsy enough to call back, especially considering the fact that they probably just played the buzzer in your ear anyway again. But since I knew the phone number, I could use someone as a scapegoat and make them call for me. Nanami and Mizumi-kun seemed like the best choices. No, Mizumi-kun was out because he might have been brainwashed by the demon girl. Even though personally he would be the safer bet, and Nanami is still your sister. Oh, of course, well, I said that as to try and rule her out, but apparently Takumi has other ideas. And Nanami was my little sister, so I wouldn't have any trouble asking her to do it. She'd probably get pissed at me afterwards, but it wouldn't be my problem. Nothing wrong with making her experience societal hardship firsthand every once in a while. That's kind of cruel even for you, Takumi Nishijo. I thanked Rim, promised to meet him in Ensu a couple of hours later, and closed the chat. Right then, my stomach gurgled. Man, I was hungry. Did I have cup ramen stocked around somewhere? I went hunting for it, but couldn't spot it anywhere. I reluctantly decided to go get some at a convenience store. Venturing out into the night. Another first for Takumi, as of late. The sun had already set. If possible, I'd prefer to have walking round after dark, because lately all that had given me were nasty memories. Too true. I unthinkingly hastened my pace, hurrying down the road to the store. Today is Saturday, so I would have expected to cross paths with any number of pedestrians, but so far I hadn't encountered a single one. Now that is curious. You'd at least think someone was loitering around at the heart of Shibuya, but the stores that were always open had been closed. It was a tad strange. Too strange in my book. Maybe I was under the wrong impression, like thinking it was 7 p.m. when in actuality it was around 2 a.m. Let's check the time to find out. Okay, maybe not. Hee hee hee. Something tells me that thought didn't make you feel any better. Even so, it was far too quiet. For the most part, I couldn't hear any miscellaneous city noises. The town's ambience was different than usual. I arrived at the convenience store in the Shinsen Plaza. The plaza was in front of the train station, but there wasn't a single person here either. I was gradually starting to get scared. There was nothing, no traffic, no people, no wind. The sudden absence of something that I'd taken for granted, that alone was enough to give me the sense that I'd fallen into another world. Under ordinary circumstances, I skirted away from meeting with and talking to people, but right now I just wanted to see someone's face. You might regret that wish. I ran inside the convenience store. There had to be a clerk in here, so I thought as I surveyed the store's interior. No one was there. Ominous. Too ominous for words, ladies and gentlemen. Well, of course, might not be all bad. Could be just that the store manager is in the back storage area. No customers, not even a cashier.
まさか。
Well, this store actually appears to be the only one that's actually open, given the fact that we were able to walk inside. This wasn't possible. The cashier had to be doing something in the back of the store. If I brought some goods up to the register, they'd soon re-emerge. Hopefully. That was why, in the end, I took my time picking a boxed lunch. While pretending to check out some manga magazines, I set my boxed lunch down by the register. Is there anybody out there? No one came out after all. Maybe it was true that not a single person was here. Okay, if it's like that, then... I picked up the boxed lunch I left by the register, then went straight for the automatic doors. I stood in front of the doors. Or one of the doors, sorry. It opened. As I was about to step outside...
待て!
A voice. A cashier finally came out of another room behind the register. He was a dark, bleary-looking man, probably in college. Leaning across the counter, he glared at me with dull eyes.
お前、今万引きしようとしただろ。
Well, you wouldn't be wrong in this situation. However, there wasn't anyone here. And of course, now that there is someone here, Takumi can just pay for the boxed lunch legally and just walk out of the store. I shrugged my shoulders and turned back to the register.
あんたが出てこないからでしょ。すいません、居眠りしてました。
Well, at least he's fairly understanding, although this music is somewhat ominous. The clerk lowered his head to me, grinning flippantly as if he were mocking me. That's what happens when you have part-time help. Something snapped inside me. God, this store didn't teach its workers anything.
しねえ。当然タダで持って帰ってもいいよね。
Probably should not have said that aloud.
は？それとこれとは別じゃないですか。あんたの責任なんだからあんたが代金立て替えろよ。ふざけんなニート野郎。
Yeah, I think you deserve that one there, Takumi.
この
I unthinkingly struck at him. My straight punch hit the clerk smack on the nose. Crying out pathetically, he fell backwards, crashed into the shelves and collapsed in place. Oh dear. No, I think shoplifting is now the least of your worries. It had been a magnificent punch, if I do say so myself.
すいません。
As blood gushed from his nose, the clerk prostrated himself on the floor with tears in his eyes. Now cutesy music is playing. This is really inappropriate for this to be playing at a time like this.
お金は結構さ。だから帰ってください。
The clerk seems to be a bit of a pushover.
分かればいいんだよ。
While I was at it, I grabbed 4 dorayaki bean pastries from the display in front of the register. Then, satisfied, went back to the door. Do realize that you're on candid camera if this store does in fact have CCTV.
二度と来るかバカ。
Tossing back that line snazily to get in the last word, I breezed out of the store. But alas, that did not happen, for it is a delusion. Several minutes passed while I fantasized. There was no indication that a cashier would appear. And, going to cut it short there, adventurers, and when we return, we shall continue waiting to see if anyone will actually show up. As always, dear adventurers, until next we meet.